My laptop is being difficult.
Oh. Pomona College in LA, California, or Claremont, basically in LA.
You're gonna hear some Bulgarian. The second part will be coming. Hey peeps. Hello. It's currently Thursday, March 28th, 2019, the 2019 Ivy Day, as said, and...
Sorry, there's like a really loud break in my neighborhood. Somebody almost died. Hopefully not my parents.
And so I have actually 3 decisions coming out today. 2 are IVs. I applied to Princeton and Brown mainly because I really vibed with both the schools, unlike all the other IVs. Academics, in terms of social life, in terms of challenges, opportunities, and stuff like that, even though all the IVs offer so much. And also Tufts University, yes. That's my other one. It's a really good school in terms of engineering. Sorry my lighting is so whack. I'm literally like golden and like shade. Sorry. Let me fix this. That's even worse. Okay, let me just turn this off. That's a lot better. Wow. Should have done that in the beginning. Let's think again. It also looks like Jesus is right there. Hey, Jesus. Okay. My parents are not home right now. And it's currently 8:42
p.m. Eastern Time. And the decisions came out 7 p.m. Eastern Time. They weren't going to be home anyway, like I knew this, so I went to the gym, I started exercise, but they're still not home, even though when I was like, oh, we'll be here by 8:30, it's 8:42. Not pissed, I just don't want to be alone opening these, obviously.
This is my sort of therapy, I guess. It is literally 9:02 p.m. And my parents are still not home. I took a shower. That's how bored I am.
What's so bad about me without my phone? I just don't want to open this alone, it's too scary, bro. I'll have my own reflection at the end, so get ready to get...
Whoa!
Отваря го, че
Добре. С какво да почнем? Те училища. С...
най-малко наред, браво.
Тоест, каквото вие кажете. Thank you for submitting an application. Okay.
Не.
No.
Идва с по-хлопче.
По-малко.
Бати късмет.
Що късмет?
Еми за какво ти е Тъфс?
No.
No?
No.
It's okay.
No is a brown.
Голяма работа. Дай с най-големите им.
Princeton.
No.
Най-големите са за теб.
Лъвче!
Ти за това почваш
Барселона!
Да.
Wow!
Congratulations, I'm delighted to offer you admissions to Princeton's class of 2020.
Wow!
Yay! Okay.
Там може да имаш с кола, на тъпче,
Не,
да
сега ще избираме помежду. Само три.
Моля се, приеми го това.
Hey guys, hey peeps. It's April 2nd, like 8:50. And I got an email from Reed about their admission.
So, and it's my last school, my 11th school. So, we'll see how that goes.
What does it say? Dear Nasko. Dang it. I got waitlisted. Okay, well, with that concludes my college process. I'll probably make a reflection video. Hey guys. Okay, this will be the reflection part. I hope you like the background. I'll have my iPad on me just because I want to go through everything that I thought of saying, and sorry for the AirPod. It's just a lot better for audio. I swear I am not flexing. BT dubs, this reflection is literally unfiltered. I'm not adding anything to it. Maybe some effects here and there, but I'm not cutting any part of it just because I want it to be that genuine. Okay. First thing first, I want to give a thank you to a lot of things. First, I want to thank the Leadership Enterprise for a Diverse America for everything they have ever for the whole year. So this is the college guidance program that has helped me throughout this whole process, and I'll make a specific video about it soon, very soon over the summer, just because it has impacted me so much. Thank you all of my cohort 14 people and all of my college guidance counselors. Then I would like to thank my family and friends. All of them were super supportive throughout this process, obviously, and I feel like I could always go to them whenever I was nervous, and it's just important to have such a good support system whenever you feel like you're overwhelmed or you just feel discouraged about a lot of things whenever you're going through this process, because this process finds things deep within you that you didn't know you had or you didn't know you've done, and it just made me personally grow, and I hope it makes whoever has gone through the process and whoever is going through the process, whoever will eventually go through the process, grow even more and learn more about themselves, because even the process of getting into college is something you should learn from. Finally, I want to thank all of my teachers and my amazing Duluth community for just providing me with so much throughout the years, for the teacher recommendations, for everything else. Okay, first off, I will start from the first thought I had whenever I ended the process was which schools I got into, which ones I got waitlisted from, and which ones I got rejected from. In total, I got into 5 schools. If you watch the video, you know which ones they are. I got waitlisted through 3 schools and got rejected from 3 schools. So it's crazy how the first thought that I have was about numbers, you know? Numbers? Seriously. My biggest advice to people is don't ever think about the number. You are not a number. What matters to you are your qualities and your humanity. You shouldn't care about your grades, your scores, your SATs. They are important in this process, and they give you a tremendous advantage and show your compassion for a lot of things, but it means nothing. It absolutely means nothing, all of those scores, if you are some heartless or impassionate or just constantly finessing through everything, because that doesn't show any character. It shows nothing about you as a person. Okay, you wrote those essays, you have the scores, but if you write something about just an example, your whole life is surrounded about robotics, and you're like, oh, I was on this club, but you don't do anything else. That's a horrible example, but you know what I mean from this. You are not a number. What matters is your qualities and your humanity, and I believe that is something I have learned, because I was constantly stressing about scores, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not gonna get anywhere because of who I am. And people like watching this are gonna be like, oh my god, what is he thinking? Your scores are really like great or whatever. But it's something personal that or when people approach me, they're like, I don't have your grades, I don't have the scores, like how am I gonna get where you are? Well, that's stupid, because you're not gonna limit yourself because of some measly numbers. Okay, you don't have the grades, you don't have the scores, but what if you have the extracurriculars? What if you have the great essays? What if you have this humanity you are going to display through like an interview or whenever you meet others? Your influence is what matters. It's not any quantitative value that determines your personality. This isn't an IQ score test. That's just my spiel, and that's the biggest thing I think I learned about this process, because the first thing I thought about was numbers, and that's not what this is supposed to be about. Okay, now we'll talk about Stanford. As you know, or you guys might not know, I got the first on December. That means I applied early. That means that was my dream school, and I really, really loved it. I really wanted to go there. I vibed. I have never visited, but just from what I've heard from people and the people I have met from there, I was constantly hooked. And obviously that is the most competitive college probably that's in the nation, one of the most competitive colleges in the world. And it's crazy. I got rejected, obviously. And at first, once I got that, as you know, I stopped the video. And after that, I left my friend's house, and that was that. I was in a daze. I didn't know what to do. My parents were like, what happened? And I said, I didn't get it, and just went upstairs and slept the whole day. Then they came and asked me, and I was like, I don't know, leave me alone. I don't want to think about this right now. And I started focusing immediately on something else. I was using, I forgot what defense mechanism it was in psychology. I was using projection. I'm not sure, one or the other. But I was avoiding the fact of getting rejected because I just couldn't deal with it. And you know what? I don't know why I was so confident in the first place that I would get in, because all the people they did accept, I know some of them are amazing human beings and they deserve it just as much. And, you know, I always compare myself. I compared myself to them, and I was like, oh, of course I wouldn't get it compared to them. But you shouldn't think that way. If anything, Stanford has taught me a valuable lesson about rejection that I will explain. So thank you, Stanford University, for that. And that brings me to my next point, rejection. I got rejected from 3 schools, and they were pretty highly competitive schools, obviously. You know, when I first found out about any of those rejections, I was like, I wasn't gonna be the same ever, because that really broke my heart. But you know what? After any rejection, of course you're not gonna be yourself. Like, okay, I was gonna do a TED Talk actually about rejection, but here's to my TED Talk. So, think of the times you've gotten rejected so far in your life. Now multiply that by 10, multiply that by 100, multiply that by 1,000, and that's actually more closer, the more times you multiply, to how many times you will get rejected in any sort of manner in your life, whether it be academically, personally, professionally, or whatever it is. You will always find some type of rejection in your life. But that rejection should not be a barrier, should not be a wall in your life that you can't go through. If anything, it should just be a bump. It should be a bump that was very rough, that made you think a little bit more about yourself, and that you can go up from and learn something from that. When I got rejected, I remember I wouldn't brag, or at least I hope I wouldn't brag about, oh, I'm waiting for Stanford, or like, that's my first school, we'll see, like, knock on wood. I was hoping. But after that, my humility skyrocketed. I was like, okay, I need to stop. I'm just a regular person. That was uncalled for me to go and just talk about it in that way. I hope I became more humble. I became a little bit more passionate about what I want to do, and realized, no, I am not going to let this one school determine my life. It was just a bump. And I think that even without Stanford, I got rejected from Brown and Tufts, and those were, again, a lot, like, highly competitive schools that I didn't get into. And it was tough, because I was like, wow, I'm just not that good enough. Again, I thought of numbers, and I shouldn't have, because wherever I go, it's what you make of it. It is literally what you make of it. That rejection should not in any way influence your character or your passion or your drive. Move forward from that rejection. Go over that bump and live your life. If anything, for me, that rejection was an inspiration. I was like, okay, now I know what to do. Slap myself out of it. I did weep for like a week, and I was like, don't talk to me, like, whatsoever about that. I didn't want to hear that name, but now I can confidently say I got rejected from Stanford. I got rejected from Stanford, and I don't care, because that was stupid of me to ever think that I would get in. Like, this is how one of my teachers that I really loved throughout high school, he said, don't think of it as a 30% acceptance rate, 20%, 10% acceptance rate. Think of it as a 70% rejection rate, 80% rejection rate, 85%, 98% rejection rate. They reject so many qualified people who are, like, if you get in, that is the most amazing opportunity ever. You should feel proud about yourself. but don't become a jerk about it, obviously. Be considerate of the others. Realize that rejection is something that impacts all of us, and that you should be there to support those who go through it. But that doesn't mean you don't have to be proud about what you've done. And that's my spiel about rejection. My next point is just going through this college journey, obviously. So, the biggest part was the essays. That's what colleges mainly look at, especially the colleges like I applied to, because essays is what describes you. You know, I didn't have an interview for a lot of my colleges, and I really enjoyed all of my interviews. I would like to think I'm a very interviewee person. I don't like talking about myself. Usually in an interview they would be like, you know, describe yourself, blah, 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 for like 30 minutes. But then I would more go over like 30 or 40 minutes about asking questions about the other person, and just get to know more about, you know, the institution, the world, the person, whatever it is. I love the interviews. But the essays, this is my honest opinion, I did not like the essay process whatsoever. The only essay that I really enjoyed and really sort of reflected on this one part of my life was my Common App essay, which is the main essay you have to submit to apply to any college. Not any, but the colleges I applied to personally. Because the essay really shined upon this issue that I had and I wanted to write about, because it showed a piece of myself, and I thought it was going to be important for colleges to know what that piece was. And that was the only essay I actually genuinely was passionate about. The rest of the essays, I could tell it felt like a chore. It felt like a chore. I didn't like it. It was honestly a little bit just like, I couldn't deal with it. But besides the point, it shouldn't be a chore. That was my choice that I didn't like it. I know this one person who worked so hard on their essays every day, grinded on them for 6 months straight to submit them, and he was proud of them. And I could say I was proud of most of my essays, but I don't feel like I put in a piece of my heart like I did for my Common App essays, and that's what you should always do with these essays. So that is my personal advice about it. The waiting process was, again, very, you know, waiting. I just sort of enjoyed myself. I was like, it's over. Whatever happens, happens. I'm still me. Whatever rejections I face. TED Talk. You know, the process itself was very enlightening, in my opinion, and I enjoyed it. But the essays, again, I felt like that was my fault. So my biggest advice about that is, don't make it a chore. Make it something you want to write about. Choose the topics you want to write about. Write about something that makes you passionate, that doesn't make you feel like a chore. And you know that you put 100%, you tried your best. There's nothing more you can do after that. If a college doesn't like you, if they don't accept you, that means that their fault. They lost you. That's their loss. Big whoop. And finally, what I would sort of got into is giving my input on this. Get input about the whole process. Get people in this process to help you out. Don't confide. Get input from teachers or one or three people on your essays, especially, that you feel really comfortable. Sorry, I keep looking that way. My fault. That you are really comfortable with. That you're really comfortable with sharing, you know, your personal experiences, your passions, and of course, don't be afraid of judgment. Don't ever be afraid of judgment. You'll always get judgment on your essays. I'm not a linguistic person, so that's also why I didn't like to write those essays. I hate essays, but I try my hardest. I try like twice as hard to make them as good as the person who is good at writing essays. And that's that. Last thing is, if you haven't noticed by the shirt, I did decide to go to Princeton University as the class of 2023, and I was so humbled, so proud, and just amazing opportunities are yet to come because of the institution. The two main schools I had to choose from were Pomona and Princeton, and because those schools, they're totally polar opposites, first of all, and if you do research, you'll see why. But when I went to Pomona, I went to visit both the schools, and this is how pretty much like hooked me to one or the other. When I went to visit Pomona, the people were incredible. It was an amazing environment. I loved California. I want to hopefully move to California one day. We'll see how that goes because I'm a Southern Georgia kid, LOL. But I want to thank Pomona for everything. I want to thank it. I don't want it to think that I didn't choose it because it wasn't good enough. Pomona was amazing. And I will never forget those 4 days that I had there, and I made friends that I will hopefully keep in touch with and visit because Pomona has a great community, advising council, environment that you can thrive at. But I just wanted a community that was going to challenge me a lot more, and I wanted an environment that was going to challenge me a lot more. I wanted to see people that would challenge me more in order for me to grow even more. And I felt like Princeton hooked me a little bit more when I went to the visit. I met people that were definitely going to challenge me and that I will definitely get challenged by, and that will discourage me. I will get rejected, but again, I will grow from that. And so I just hope, if anything, in one word, what the college application process should be to you is growth. It's self-identity. That's that. Thank you for being with me on this journey. This video has been like 20 minutes long and I'm so sorry, but I hope everything I said on here was important. Thank you.